Hey there, and welcome to Temporary Locals.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Megan. And this week we are taking you to Pop Quiz, our nation's oldest city. Drum roll, please. St. Augustine.
St. Augustine.
If you guessed St. Augustine, you are correct.
You get a free, we'll send you a sticker or something.
Yeah. Give us your email. No, your address.
Give us your social and bank account.
Oh, for those who don't know, if this is your first time joining us, Jared and I, we are a travel-loving couple who somehow always end up feeling like locals wherever we go. From small towns to some of the world's most iconic wonders, we'll share our stories, hidden gems, and occasional history or true crime that shape the places that we've actually been. So if you're into travel storytelling and a little bit of mystery, then you're in the right place. And we are so glad that you're here. We'd love it if you would subscribe and join us for the ride. And as always, we appreciate any other free methods of support, whichever platform you're on. We are on Apple, Spotify, YouTube sometimes.
Hey.
So yeah, a quick share, like, however you can engage with whatever platform you're on. We would truly, truly appreciate it. And with that, we don't have any current events today, so we're just going to kind of jump into the episode, and we're going to be talking about our time exploring St. Augustine, Florida, in the month of December, which we wanted to do a Christmas episode for this one, particularly because not many people know that you can actually go to. They're very festive in St. Augustine.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, we wanted to do a Christmas special, and when we were kind of deciding what destination we wanted to do for this episode, I think St. Augustine's kind of perfect because we've traveled there and we've been there for the holidays, and they do a really awesome Christmas light celebration it's the month of December and into January, I believe.
Yeah, it actually goes from November
to
through
January.
January. Yeah.
And so if you've ever been to St. Augustine, it's amazing, it's beautiful, but particularly during the holidays, it is a really awesome time to be there. And so we wanted to kind of talk about that, and we thought it'd be a perfect place to talk about for our Christmas special.
Yeah.
And happy holidays, by the way, from everybody here at Temporary Locals. And by everybody, I mean Megan and I and Chewy.
Our dog, Chewy.
So happy holidays, and we hope you enjoy this Christmas special.
Yeah.
We're wearing Santa hats, too.
Yeah, our logo. Check it out. So our trip started, we drove from South Carolina to Florida, and we, road trip down the A1A, and when we got to Florida, we actually stopped at the Welcome Center, and I feel like that was the first time that I've done that, because I don't remember getting orange juice from there before, but we did.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Florida Welcome Center, at least that route, is pretty iconic. I know a lot of people post photos of the Welcome to Florida sign. And that Welcome Center it's pretty cool. I mean, most Welcome Centers are kind of just like, you stop and get a pamphlet or something. But yeah, they have a lot of really cool, like, information in there. They have books in there that tell a lot of the history. And yeah, they have fresh orange juice.
Yeah, fresh squeezed.
And it was divine.
It was pretty good. I'm not a big orange juice person, but...
I said divine. You're like, it was pretty good.
Well, I'm not an orange juice person, so...
Yeah, you hate that vitamin C.
I don't know. It's tart. Not my favorite.
Yeah. But yeah, the A1A is also a pretty famous route. And if you ever go down to Florida, I suggest you take that route. It goes right along the coast. It's a really beautiful drive. It's one of my favorite road trips in the country going down. And they recently renamed the A1A Jimmy Buffett Memorial Highway.
Oh.
Since after he died.
How fitting.
They named it after him, so it is now the Jimmy Buffett Memorial Highway, also known as the A1A. And yeah, I'm just a big fan of that road. It's just such a pretty drive going down there. Yeah.
Yeah. Just funny. I'm a big fan of that road.
I like roads.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of
No,
time
it's a
on
great
roads.
drive. It is a great drive. I'm not making fun of you. It's just funny
Yeah.
that you say that.
Yeah.
It is a good drive.
But you go through Jacksonville, and Jacksonville is one of those places a lot of people just kind of drive through. Nobody ever really stops in Jacksonville, but I like Jacksonville. I think it's a really cool city. There's some cool things to do. They have good food in Jacksonville also. So I also suggest taking a quick stop in Jacksonville and at least checking it out. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, we did not. We went straight to St. Augustine, but we were actually staying in Villanelle Beach. I think we booked with points. I think
Yeah.
you booked with points.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
At the Hampton Inn, I think it was in Villanelle Beach.
Mm-hmm.
But it was across the street from the Magic Beach Motel, which is a super cool motel. It's got neon signs, or we'll get into it. It used to have neon signs of like iconic red and blue that had like, the Magic Beach Hotel in red and then a top hat with like rabbits jumping out of it. It's just really cool motel. But they actually demolished it in October of 2025, which is a shame.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't find that out until I was like looking up a little bit of the history of it to prepare for this episode. And so that motel was built in 1951. And in 2021, it was just designated as a significant cultural resource, which I don't exactly know what that means, but I know it should mean that you shouldn't tear it down.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw that beach. We thought it was cool. We took pictures of it. And then, we kind of walked on the beach and didn't really think much of it. But then we were watching Netflix later, probably that year.
Mm-hmm.
And we were watching the show 3 Body Problem, which just a little bit about that show. It's an Emmy nominated series based on a internationally celebrated novel of the same name, 3 Body Problem. And it's like a sci-fi, begins in 1960s China, and without just giving, a lot of detail, it's kind of like, I don't know, sci-fi drama, and like scientists have to join forces with a detective to stop like humanity's greatest threat, and they don't really we won't go into it. But anyways, in that show, at like the end of one of the seasons, they're sitting at a pool and it's at the Magic Beach Motel in St. Augustine. And I remember watching that show and looking at that scene and like getting all wide-eyed and pointing at the screen and being like, "Oh my God, we were there.
Yeah.
We were at that motel."
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually not the first show to be filmed there. There's been a few other shows, and it was in a movie, I think, that like centered around a town called Magic Beach, like a fictional town. But yeah, it's had a 70-year history, and now they're gonna, according to firstcoastnews.com, a developer is gonna build condos and retail stores on that site.
It's a real shame. It was a really cool motel, and it's kind of got like it's very like Art Deco, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's just it's crazy to me. We won't get super into it. We could do a whole episode on how overdevelopment is kind of ruining a lot of areas down here and down on like the southeast coast, places like Charleston and St. Augustine, and a lot of like really historic, beautiful places that are being just destroyed, and they're putting up condos and car washes and theme parks and nonsense. And so I feel like if this kind of stuff doesn't stop, and locals and even people that visit, don't push back more on these kind of things, then in 20 years, all these beautiful places we love down here are just going to be another Myrtle Beach. And nobody wants that,
Yeah.
I mean, Myrtle Beach is fun and all, but it's like there's a reason people go to Charleston. There's a reason people go to places like Savannah and St. Augustine and these like really old, historic, beautiful places. And you know, if we allow the powers to be to do it, they will. They'll just bulldoze everything and put up fucking Starbucks, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've been to St. Augustine many times. I've stayed in Volano Beach. I've stayed in St. Augustine Beach, and I have actually stayed downtown St. Augustine also. And one time I went down to St. Augustine, I actually slept in my car um on the roof of a parking garage. There's one parking garage that I'm aware of right in downtown St. Augustine, and I slept overnight on the top floor of the parking garage. And I remember in the morning waking up to the sunrise over St. Augustine, and I could see the fort from there. And it was a really cool sunrise. I got some really cool pictures. But yeah, slept in my car in a parking garage.
That's awesome. Is that the parking garage we went to?
Probably. It's the only one I know of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a shame. And it was, I was like caught off guard and upset when I was just like looking up information about that and found out that they tore it down. I saw pictures of the, demolition, and I was like, dang. And I did read that they were trying to, like, the demolition plans included like a voluntary way to like document and save some artifacts, but like I don't know. It was also like put in there of like voluntary, so I would hope that they'd save like the neon sign or something, and
repurpose it maybe.
Yeah, or somebody would take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So we spent some time in Villanova Beach. We did some night walking too.
Mm-hmm.
We have some pictures of us with our headlamps walking along the beach too.
Yep.
Other than that, I mean, we spent a lot. I remember that weekend it was like the first weekend of December last year, 24.
This was 2 years ago.
Oh, 2023. That's why I'm having trouble recalling. I was like a year ago. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember we got a lot of steps in that weekend. We did a lot of walking around St. Augustine. Just kind of exploring the cobblestone streets. And while researching this, I didn't realize while we were there, but they have lots of like webcams around St. Augustine. I just put one down here, like the Colonial Quarter, because I thought it was cool to check out.
We could probably put those links when we post this episode.
Yeah. Like this is live and you can just see all the people walking around there.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I know there are other cities that do this, but it's like a weird kind of dichotomy because it's like St. Augustine is so old and it's all like cobblestone and very like,
yeah, I mean,
historic, and then there's just webcams everywhere.
Yeah. Sorry, I may have cut you off, but even in the webcam, you can see like how old this building is right here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just see like there's still a lot of like wooden signs, and the streets in that Colonial Quarter area are really cute. There's lots of like flags hanging down, and lights. Of course, we'll get into more of that. And just like the little shops and restaurants and stuff. I remember going to like a couple cafes and just having a really good time just exploring, the downtown streets of St. Augustine.
Yeah. I do think St. Augustine is like very underrated as a place to visit. It's obviously very well known. A lot of people go there, but I also feel like a large portion of people don't even know about it really. And because you talk to a lot of people that head south and they head down to, Orlando, they're going to Disney or whatever, or even the Keys. And it's like most people drive right past St. Augustine and don't even realize like how much of a gem it is. It really is like a hidden gem in that way. And so, yeah, I encourage anybody that's heading down through Florida to stop it in St. Augustine.
Yeah, I would agree too. And doing research, it was actually like the spring break or really winter, we'll get into it more, but like winter vacation destination before, Miami's and, the like more southern parts of Florida. Cause when it was around, and a lot of the history there, you couldn't access southern Florida. So this was like the place until they started building more railroads and you could access further down into Florida. This was like the location. I think it's, Franklin D. Roosevelt came here as a college student on spring break. So it was like a spring break destination.
Yeah. For Franklin D. Roosevelt. He was getting lit.
Yeah.
But like we said in the beginning, and I just want to reiterate this, that St. Augustine is the oldest city in the United States. And a lot of people don't know that either.
Yeah. Founded in 1565 by Spanish settlers, it is the oldest continuously inhabited European established settlement in what is now the contiguous United States.
Yes.
Yep. And before the Spanish came here in 1565, the area of St. Augustine was inhabited by the Timucua tribe, who lived in villages along the St. John's River. And they farmed fish, hunted, and maintained trade networks with neighboring groups. And their tribe, their social structures included hereditary chiefs and organized ceremonies. And I believe there's like a state park or a forest of like it's of the same name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the first European known to have explored the coast of Florida was the Spanish explorer and governor of Puerto Rico, Juan Ponce de Leon. And he named the peninsula, which he thought it was an island. He named it La Florida and claimed it for the Spanish crown. And the area specifically was named St. Augustine because they first sighted land on the feast day of St. Augustine. And it was at that time, the Spanish held a religious ceremony and a meal with the local Native Americans, which some historians consider to be the first communal Thanksgiving in what is now the United States.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that either. The first Thanksgiving was actually in Florida, in St. Augustine.
Yeah. You always think of like New England.
Plymouth Rock.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting one. Also, I'd rather spend Thanksgiving in Florida, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
But the kind of main event, it's not really an event, but the main attraction, I guess you could say, to go down to St. Augustine during this time is because they have their, what they call, it's the Nights of Lights. And it's the yearly, time where, between November and January, where the downtown area of St. Augustine just glows with holiday magic from the ground to the rooftops. And this tradition began in 1994. And so for this year, 2025, they do specific dates. So you'll just have to kind of check online to see when specifically, but it's typically from November to January. And in the end of 2025, which this will come out, like the week of Christmas, you can still see the Nights of Lights through January 11th of 2026.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the sheer amount of lights. Because, the entire city is lit up. And it's like, I've seen large light displays before, and other cities do something kind of similar, but it's so much that I just wonder, like, how much preparation goes into it. Because it's like it's a whole thing down there. And St. Augustine, by itself is just such a beautiful city with the old Spanish style homes and buildings, and it's like the colonial architecture and the cobblestone, and it's so like historic and like, and you're in like the subtropics. It's beautiful. And then you have these Christmas lights just covering every tree, every building, every balcony. And it's just so amazing. And I think we'll probably get into it then. But one of the things we did is we took a carriage ride. I know people have certain thoughts about those, but this one was really special because they take you around the city of St. Augustine and in a horse-drawn carriage, and you just get to look at all the lights, and it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, we really enjoyed that. We'll talk about, that's one of the ways to see it. We'll talk about that. But event itself is known for its iconic millions of white lights. And I read some places there's actually like estimated like 3 million lights in all of downtown.
Wow. I'm surprised it's not more, honestly. It seems like it would be more.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe that's just downtown because there's all areas of like Flagler College too that, they're all decorated with lights. But yeah, so it creates like a really classy, elegant winter wonderland feel. And it's free. Like, you might have to pay for parking somewhere, but just to walk around and view the lights or whatever other way you choose, there's multiple ways that you can view them. It's free. There's no like entrance. It's just like that's what the city does. And the white lights, actually, the origins trace back to the traditional Spanish practice of displaying a white candle in windows during the Christmas holidays, which is to symbolize making room in your homes and hearts for Jesus when Mary and Joseph couldn't find an inn to give them shelter. And so this time of year, it's a significant tourism driver, and it brings tens of thousands of people to the historic district annually.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a really smart, like, marketing move in a way. I mean, in the winter months, I would assume it's not peak season, right, for like Florida or to go to the beach, but I can see the allure. Why
a lot of people travel to Florida from the north during like wintertime and the cold months. They're snowbirds. So, but most people aren't going to St. Augustine. Most people are going down to Orlando or
further south.
So, but I think that they get a lot of people stopping, and that's kind of what they bank on. Because it's St. Augustine's always pretty busy because it is such a cool city, but during the holidays and during the light festivities, it is extra crowded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do remember there being a lot of people around, especially at night,
Yeah.
And we did a lot of exploring during the day too, but it got way busier at night because that's when people are coming out to see the lights. And I think it starts around 6 p.m., which it's, daylight savings time at that time. So it's pretty dark. Sunset's probably 5:30-ish.
Yeah.
Just a guess. But the Nights of Lights has been listed among the top 10 holiday light displays in the world by National Geographic. That was in 2011 and 2012.
Wow.
Yeah. I believe it.
Maybe it isn't underrated. Maybe it's rated. Literally.
National Geographic would beg to differ.
Yeah.
We didn't actually know about this at the time, or maybe we did. I don't remember, but there's an app. You can download the St. Augustine Nights of Lights app. They've designed it for visitors and locals, so you can be a temporary local. It's got maps, tips, and event details. And then there's also a tip here to avoid downtown congestion by using the free park and ride shuttle. Yeah. So some of the ways to see it, which I found one that I didn't even think about, the last one on our list, you can see it from above. If you climb the 219 steps to the top of the St. Augustine Lighthouse and Maritime Museum, you can see, like, look down on the city and see it all, dressed in the white lights.
Yeah.
We didn't do that.
No, we didn't.
We just got to go back, I guess.
Or you could climb to the top of the parking garage.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you can do what we did. You can do a carriage ride. They do waterfront cruises because there's that bay right there, which we saw lots and lots of boats there while we were there. A lot of sailboats, a lot of really cool boats.
And there was like a hazy fog over the bay.
Yeah.
Which made it really moody. It almost, when I think of St. Augustine, the vibe I get is like pirates, because it was a real hub for piracy back in the Golden Age. And Blackbeard even frequented St. Augustine during those days. And so there's even a pirate museum downtown, which we went to, remember?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And so there's a lot of pirate history there, and I love the history of like piracy and stuff during the Golden Age. So there's a lot of history there. It's really cool. But it still kind of has that feel to it, and like some of the little pubs and bars you'll go into kind of have like they're pirate themed in a way, kind of like Lafayette's in New Orleans.
Yeah.
It's a pirate bar, which we've talked about, but yeah, I love that kind of vibe, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember seeing there was like a pirate ship,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Yeah,
a wooden pirate ship.
Yeah, and you can go on it too.
Yeah.
They do tours on that. Yep.
Yeah, that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
That in combination, like when you go to the fort and you like look out on the water and you see, they'll do like reenactments or like, so people are dressed in like, wartime
Colonial
attire. Yeah, colonial attire. And
like red coats.
yeah, so seeing that and then looking out and then seeing like, modern boats, but also like a pirate ship, it just makes it really fun.
Yeah, it really is like stepping back in time when you go to St. Augustine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even with the lights. That's the one thing about the Christmas lights, as amazing as they are, is that it kind of takes you out of that, I guess. It's super beautiful, but it's such an old historic city that it kind of takes you out of that because they obviously didn't have Christmas lights in the 1500s. But so if you're going there for like history to really like feel like you're stepping back in time, it might not be the best time. But I really enjoy the Christmas lights. But I like going to St. Augustine all year round.
Yeah. It is just a really cool city.
Mm-hmm.
The color scheme, like the buildings, they're just kind of like gray and it's like moody, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Castillo de San Marcos National Monument, and then even some of the other buildings, they're like that gray. So like seeing that in contrast with like the ocean behind it and the palm trees, it's really pretty.
Yeah. It's like you're in a port city in Pirates of the Caribbean. That's what it makes you think of.
Yeah.
And a lot of the balconies are really done up with flowers and different like floral displays. It's really reminiscent of like St. Augustine New Orleans in that way.
Yeah.
Just really pretty buildings and homes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also have the oldest schoolhouse in the United States. Right. It's a shack. Mm-hmm. It's a little wooden shack, but it is the oldest schoolhouse in the United States.
Yeah. Still standing in the
That's right.
colonial quarter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, all the buildings are very old, but they've been repurposed obviously into like modern gift shops and stuff. And it's weird because it's like you'll have this like super old historic building that's been around since the 1500s, and it's next to a gift shop that sells, magnets for your fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We really like the downtown portion, but you cannot go to St. Augustine and not visit Castillo de San Marcos. It's a national military park, and the actual like castle Castillo itself is a national monument. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a national parks passport book, you got to go get your stamp.
That's right. You did, right?
No, I don't think I started doing it until after that. So we got to go back.
We got to go back, yeah.
Yeah, so the park itself is a quote unquote like walk-in park. So you pay the entrance fee, or if you're military, you can get in for free. Or military or veteran.
Former military, yeah.
And yeah, I mean it's basically self-guided. I think you can pay for
a tour,
a guide, or a guided tour, but we didn't do that. We decided we just kind of wanted to venture around ourselves. And then I kind of mentioned this earlier, but they do historic weapons demonstrations. And so they'll do, it just kind of depends on like the day and who's there to do it, because they rely a lot on volunteer work. And I did find on the website you can, sign up to be a volunteer for the National Park Service. But the demonstrations, you can see them on Saturdays and Sundays at designated times, 10:30, 11:30, 1:30, 2:30, and 3:30. And they'll do muskets or cannons. And I mean, we saw and heard those while we were there.
Yeah, it's legit cannons. And they fire them off and it's loud.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said that they compared it because there's like an FAQ section on the National Park website. And one of the questions was like, is it loud? And the answer, they gave the answer like it's like a firework, but I would say it's a little louder than that.
Yeah, no, it was loud. It was a cannon.
Yeah.
But it is also cool because in the fort itself, as you're walking around touring it, they have people dressed in like time period era attire walking around and kind of like going about their business like they would have back then. And you can go in and see like living quarters in the fort and how the people that, inhabited that fort, how they lived. And they have, beds in there and tables and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, they also have just like displays of like the cannons up there, kind of like in a museum fashion. And then there's just like cannonballs everywhere. Remember there was this one door that was just like really beautifully constructed and very intricate that we were fascinated by.
It was a giant wooden door.
Yeah, it was black.
They had cannonballs propped up around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can also walk on the upper level of the fort itself. So you can walk on top of the fort.
Yeah.
Remember I climbed up on that like wall?
Yeah.
Overlooking.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, yeah, probably not allowed to do this, but you got a picture of me.
Yeah, I did. And up there is where they have like the different cannons. They're all they're like green. So I guess were they copper?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a really cool part of our history to go kind of tour. But the fort itself, just a little bit of history about it. It was built by the Spanish to defend Florida and the Atlantic trade route. And the National Monument preserves the oldest masonry fortification in the continental United States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so the shape of it originated in Italy in the 15th century, and it's a kind of star-shaped design. And it's just a result of kind of architecture adapting to technology. So the change in warfare brought about by black powder weapons created new types of defensive structures adapted both to withstand or avoid the impact of cannon projectiles and to effectively mount cannons to repel any attackers. Of the major architectural variations, this quote-unquote bastion system named for the projecting diamond or angle-shaped formations added onto the fort walls was most commonly and effectively used. So the purpose of the shape of the fort is to eliminate any blind spots or dead zones from which any enemies could approach the fort or find cover. And so, I mean, that it's still standing today is kind of a testament to how well it was constructed. They said that the people that were constructing it really had to know a lot about geometry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see Spanish-style forts like that a lot in other places, like in the Caribbean. And I know when I was in the Dominican, I went to a fort called San Felipe, and it looks almost identical to Castillo de San Marco. And that's just how they built them back then. And it had the cannons and everything, just like the one in St. Augustine. And it almost is like reminiscent kind of like Dry Tortugas in a way too, which is, I believe that is the largest masonry structure, is it not?
I'm not sure.
But it's kind of the same thing, and I know like Dry Tortuga is kind of it is a different design, but yeah, the Spanish built a lot of forts like that. But what's really cool about Castillo de San Marco is it's like right in Florida,
Yeah.
And it's like stepping back into time, and you feel like you're in like the Spanish colonial era.
Yeah, absolutely. That fort was built in 1695.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It replaced 9 successive wooden, forts before it. So they got sick of the wood and they were like, all right.
Yeah.
We're going to put some masonry into this bitch.
There's some really cool history of, especially down here, of like forts and how they were fortified. And like when you talk about Fort Sumter and you talk about how they fortified Fort Sumter and why why the state flag of South Carolina is a palmetto tree. And a lot of people don't know why, but it's because they actually use the palmetto trees and they fashioned them to the side of the fort, and they repelled cannon fire.
Oh, wow.
And so that's what won the war. That's how they defended against the army, and so that's why the palmetto tree is the state tree of South Carolina and why it's on our flag.
I didn't know that. I thought it was just because you see palmetto trees at the beach.
No, they used it. Outside the fort for Fort Sumter. They actually put it around the fort, and it cannonballs bounced right off of them.
Oh my gosh.
It's a very strong tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What an interesting little factoid.
Yeah. I'm full of historical knowledge.
Yeah. So we were kind of talking about this beforehand, but like St. Augustine and the fort went back and forth between countries throughout its history. So the first time I guess it was used, they say the Castillo's baptism of fire came in 1702 during the War of the Spanish Succession, when the English occupied St. Augustine and unsuccessfully besieged the fort for 50 days. So they burned the town before they left, but, the Castillo was fine. And so it's a symbolic link between the old St. Augustine of 1565 and then the new city that rose from the ashes. So some interesting history there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fort like that is so like valuable that it's like when a city changes hands between different countries, different armies, it's like you would just you wouldn't destroy something like that. You would try to use it, utilize it.
Yeah.
Make it your own.
Well, and I'm sure that they probably would have destroyed the fort, but they probably didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
So they're like, we'll just burn the city. Everything's built from wood, so everything's gonna, burn. But because, they had 9 times had to rebuild that fort, and then they finally.
Yeah. They also used it for a period of time as a prison, where they held Seminole native tribes there as prisoners. Kind of the same story a bit behind Dry Tortugas, like I mentioned earlier, is they use that as a prison also, because of how remote it is. I mean, it's 90 miles off the coast of Florida, so they would actually house prisoners there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so in 1763, as an outcome of the 7 Years' War, the French and Indian War, Spain ceded Florida to Great Britain in exchange for La Habana, Cuba. And then the Treaty of Paris of 1783 that ended the American Revolutionary War returned Florida to Spain. So it went to Great Britain, then back to Spain. Then Spain held on to it until 1821, and then there were some serious Spanish-American tensions, and so they kind of ceded it to the United States. And the Americans actually renamed it Castillo Fort Marion. And like you said, it was used to house Indian prisoners during the Seminole War of 1835 to 1842. And there is something here about Confederate troops kind of briefly occupying it during the Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a really cool fort to walk around. You can walk around the grounds outside. It's pretty big. And you can walk around all levels. There's even one, we went into like a little tunnel or something to get into like this back room. Do you remember what that room was?
I don't remember what the room was, but I do remember going in the tunnel. You had to crouch down and essentially crawl in.
Yeah.
I felt like I was exploring a pyramid.
Yeah, hurt my back.
Yeah. 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 And then it's like you get out on the other side and you're like in this open room and there's just like other random tourists in there.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, and it's just kind of like a weird
Oh, your back hurts too? Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, some other things that we did in St. Augustine. We toured the Ponce de Leon Hotel, or Flagler College, which it is now. And that was something you wanted to do. when we went there. We got some really cool pictures. I mean, the architecture is just insane. The detail on the outside, the colorful tiles, the detail on the inside, because it's part of the Flagler College campus now, but on the inside, it's gorgeous. Like beautiful wood and
The
like the
lobby,
ceiling.
the
Yeah.
ceiling and there's chandeliers in there. It's a mansion. It started out as a hotel, obviously. And it was built by Henry Flagler, but it's now a university. And so it's a large campus, and there's a really awesome, super iconic fountain outside. And you can walk all around the grounds. It's a college, but I mean, we just kind of walked around and went inside and everything. And you see like college kids walking around, and I just think, man, what a cool place to go to college. If you were going to go to college, like that's the place to go.
Yeah, we should encourage the girls to go there.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll come visit.
Go to Flagler College. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you said, it was built by Henry Flagler, which some of you may know or may not know, who is a co-founder of the Standard Oil Company with John D. Rockefeller. So it's just like interesting history with this hotel too, because it was like the first hotel first hotel
with electricity.
With electricity, just because he was friends with Thomas Edison.
Yeah. Henry Flagler has a lot of history in Florida. He built a lot of Florida. And so there's avenues named after him. There's statues of him. Even as far down in like Key West, there's some things of his down there. So he's a big figure in Florida, but especially in St. Augustine. And so that hotel at the time, back in the day, in the 1800s, it was like the place to go. And it was like a very like highfalutin kind of place where like famous debutantes and stuff of the time would go and stay.
Yeah.
So it was really fancy and really high class for the time.
Yeah. And this all came because...
And now kids do, keg stands there.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could say that about a lot of historic places, even Charleston. I mean, there's kids that go to college in Charleston that, are doing crazy stuff. It's just the dichotomy of like, history and, the historic places still being around as, we evolve and technology evolves. And
I think one of the best examples of that is New Orleans, because it's like such a party city, but so much of it is so historic and there's so much history. And people walk right by these places that have so much, just such stories, and people just drunkenly stumble past them and don't even realize like, how much history that surrounds them.
Yeah. Or they do and they don't care. They're just there for the, to walk around Bourbon Street with a daiquiri.
Yeah.
But back to Flagler. So this all came about because he went down to Florida. He spent the winter of 1883 in St. Augustine with his second wife, Ida Alice Flagler. And he thought the city was really charming, but he was like looking around at the hotels and transportation, and he was like, what is this garbage? So he had the idea to make St. Augustine a winter resort for wealthy Americans from the north. So he basically invented snowbirding. And to bring them south, he bought several short-line railroads and combined them in 1885 to form the Florida East Coast Railway. So back to what you were saying about how he has so much, influence, and he built a lot. Like, he constructed a lot, but he also, like, he was like, we're building all this stuff, but we have to get a way for people to get down here. So he, like, pulled the railroad lines, together and built the railway.
He kind of screwed it up for everybody down here. He made a way for all these northerners to come down.
Yeah. We'll blame Henry Flagler. Yep. But the hotel, the construction of it, it's the first of its kind, constructed entirely of poured concrete, using the local coquina stone as an aggregate. And so with the opening of 450 rooms, that's a big hotel. The Ponce de Leon in 1888, and it became the winter resort of American high society for a few years. a little factoid that I found was that the owner of like Tiffany and Co. in New York, because there was, Henry and his architecture firm built a lot of stuff in New York City. So the owner of Tiffany and Co. provided the stained glass windows that are in the hotel's dining room.
Wow.
Yeah. And like we said, the hotel was powered by Edison Electric Company, making it one of the nation's first electrified buildings. So not just first like electrified like hotel, the first one of the first electrified buildings. And like we said, Thomas Edison was a personal friend of Henry Flagler, and Edison oversaw the installation of DC dynamos in the hotel. And I thought this was funny. When the hotel first opened, Flagler had to hire staff to turn the power on and off for his residents because people were just too afraid to turn the switches on and off themselves.
Yeah.
Which we kind of laugh at, but I wonder if it was like different than what we have now. Like maybe it was more scary and there'd be a sparks or something like that.
Could have been, yeah.
And maybe there was a chance of like electrocution. I'm not sure how the
Probably
mechanism
fires
was.
happen a lot more frequently, yeah.
Yeah.
Before there was like actual building codes and electrical codes and all the different types of like rules and regulations we have today. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I mean, this hotel, and there was another one that he also built kind of nearby, but he radically altered the appearance of St. Augustine and actually kind of gave it a skyline and began an architectural trend in the state, categorized by the use of Spanish Renaissance revival and Moorish revival styles.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And then since 1968, with the founding of Flagler College, the original building and the grounds of the hotel serve as the centerpiece of the campus. And you were mentioning, that it was like a place for like high society and like debutantes and stuff like that. So on Wikipedia, they kind of have a list of like personalities that stayed at the hotel during the operation. And so we're just going to kind of go down the list. But lots of presidents. President Grover Cleveland, Mark Twain, the future presidents. So not at this time, but like I mentioned earlier, future President Franklin D. Roosevelt as a college student on spring break. President Theodore Roosevelt. President Warren G. Harding. And then future President John F. Kennedy went there at age 13 with his family.
Wow, nice little vacation.
Yeah. Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson. And then I had to look up some of these ones. Not Babe Ruth. So Babe Ruth is one, but I had to look up the last two. Somerset.
Yeah, we know Babe Ruth's a candy bar, obviously.
Babe. The last two are Somerset Maugham. Was an English writer known for his plays, novels, and short stories. I'm not familiar with him, but born in 1874 and died in 1965. And then Babe Diedrichson, which was an American. She was an American Olympic athlete. She did, golf, basketball, baseball, and track and field. So I'm not familiar with her, but it must be pretty prominent to be, included in this list of notable personalities.
Well, she's got a link on Wikipedia, so
yeah,
that's enough for me.
She does. She's born in 1911 and died in 1956.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of the history behind St. Augustine and some of the main focal points of the city, including Castillo di San Marco and the hotel of Henry Flagler, the Ponce de Leon Hotel. I really liked exploring the city, but I really enjoyed exploring the hotel specifically.
Yeah, I mean, just so many intricacies. I mean, I'm remembering the details of like the fountain that you were talking about and the colors of, it's like the kind of red clay contrasting with a little bit of turquoise.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just a lot of the details on the outside are just, I remember taking lots of pictures and it's just very photogenic.
Yes.
A beautiful, place of architecture to visit.
It's kind of depressing to visit places like that and St. Augustine in general. And you see this in places like Charleston, Savannah, New Orleans, all these like really beautiful historic cities where you go there and you look at the architecture and it just makes you like long for that
craft.
Yeah, it's like there's no artistry anymore. You know, everything nowadays is just so fucking bland and like it's just everything's just McDonald's and Starbucks and fucking strip malls.
IKEA.
Yeah, and like
I think of it
buildings don't look cool anymore. There's no artistry in them. Like buildings back then were like true masterpieces. They were beautiful. And now it's like they just throw shit up just to get it done and just to like make money. They just throw shit up. There's no like that attention to detail, that like real artistry and mastery of like construction and architecture. You just don't see that anymore. And I mean, obviously, like this is all long before our time, but it's almost nostalgic in a way, even though it's like you feel like nostalgia for a time period before you were born. But it's like you just wish that you could, that like we still made stuff like that,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It bums me out to like go there and then come back to like, you know, Colombia and just like go to like, you know, I mean, there's historic places in Colombia too, but like just most of the US is that it's just strip malls and fucking Waffle Houses and hotels that all look the same. They just all look just the same. They're built the same. They, you know, it's just a box.
Yeah.
And it's like you just don't see that kind of beauty anymore and like love for like creating,
Yeah.
you know?
It is all about kind of like let's snap. Let's get it put up quick.
Mm-hmm.
And they do more like scalable designs, I guess.
That's why so many people go to like Europe. That's why so many people travel to Europe, because you walk around and so much of Europe is old like that, and it's like so historic and beautiful, and the buildings are amazing, and it's like and we just don't have a lot of that here. And so that's why to me like places like St. Augustine are so special, because it is like stepping back in time. It is like getting out of that like haze of just like mediocrity that is so much of this country.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there.
No. No, it was a good one.
But you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah, I do know what you mean. And I felt that walking around, the college there. It was mesmerizing. It really was. Even indoors, like, the way the light lit up like that ceiling. There's that big like dome kind of mural or whatever was on the top.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful.
I remember
It's
your
like
dad
laying down on the floor.
Yeah, trying to get photos, and he's like just laying down in the middle of the lobby.
Families are walking around him, stepping over him.
Yeah. Anything for the photos, man.
Yeah.
That's a straight photographer right there. It's like, I'm just gonna do what I have to do to get the best angle, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But after we also did some hiking.
Yeah, we did.
Near St. Augustine. Mm-hmm. And one of the places that we went was Anastasia State Park. And I think the specific area we went to was a place called Ancient Dunes Trail, correct?
Yeah, so we were looking for Ancient Dunes. I think we actually ended up hiking the Marsh Trail, just looking at the map, because it was like right off the A1A. Mm-hmm. Because you kind of go through this state park. But yeah, we were in like the Ancient Dunes area. Mm-hmm. But I think we hiked the Marsh Trail, which is like a mile long, and it kind of does like a loop. Like you start on the A1A, you go through the trail, and then you end up on a different part of the A1A, but not too far from where you started.
Yeah, I thought it was the Ancient Dunes Trail, because I remember us looking for a place to hike, and I remember being like, we should go to that place because it sounds cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Ancient Dunes. We did try to go, but like when I was looking at the map on the state park, it's actually that trail is a different trail. It doesn't look like where we were. If we pull it up, I can show you.
Yeah, but I do remember it was raining when we went.
Yep.
But we still, I think we had ponchos on, and we did some hiking, and we saw a lot of birds, a lot of bird activity there.
Yes.
And I remember we got to a certain section of the trail, and there was a giant oak tree like in the middle of the forest, and I remember we climbed the tree, and we got some cool pictures of us in the tree. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that. It was rainy, but we made the most of it. I think Mom stayed in the car, and we kind of, went and had fun in the damp, wet forest,
Yeah.
climbing the trees, taking pictures or whatnot. But we're looking at the map right here. If you see, this is like the A1A, and this trail kind of branches off of that. That is where I remember hiking. This other trail down here, it's number 1 on the map, is the Ancient Dunes Trail, which is 0.7 miles. And it doesn't look like you can access it from the road. It's kind of closer to the campground. I don't remember going into the campground, so
we
I
hiked
think we
a few
hiked the
different
marsh
places,
trail.
though. We hiked a few different places and we stopped because we got out and drove and then we stopped and we hiked. And I remember we did do one of the trails we did was a loop.
Yeah.
It was a full loop. Because I remember we went in either before or after your dad. Remember, it was just me and you.
Yeah, that's right.
And then when we came out, he came out behind us, but it was like a full loop.
Yeah.
And we came back out to the road. So I don't know, but
Regardless.
Jinx.
We did some
You owe me a soda.
hiking.
We finish each other's sentences. We love each other so much.
That's one of the funnest games.
Oh my god,
I love when you try when you're trying to say the same thing as me.
It's like that scene in fucking Employee of the Month.
Yeah.
Where he's trying to finish your sentences.
Yeah. Oh,
anyway.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, Babe Didrikson. Isn't it crazy that there's 2 people named Babe on that that list?
Yeah.
Is that the full list?
I don't think
Or did you
so.
just pull some of them?
I know this is I did a lot of stuff, a lot of pulling from
because out of like 10 people on that list, 2 people are named Babe, and like maybe that was a really common name back then. I don't know, but I don't know one person named Babe. So, although you could be named Babe,
Oh.
you know, come on.
Yeah, hold on. Ponce de Leon Hotel. I'm pretty sure that was all that was like listed on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, what are the chances? An Olympian and a candy bar. Are we done with this pod? I feel like we went off the rails.
Yeah, I did kind of go off the rails there, but that's okay. Thank you guys for
I think people like that.
let us know if you like that.
I mean, I think people like the history and us telling our stories, but I think they like just when we go off the rails. You know?
The crazy train off the tracks.
Yeah.
Off the tracks of the Florida East Coast Railway.
Oh, maybe we're going to go off the A1A.
Oh my.
End up in a fucking ditch with an alligator.
What? There is actually oh yeah, we didn't even talk about this. We didn't go, but there's like a Fountain of Youth in St. Augustine. Your sister just went.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't do that. But that's kind of like it's like a tourist destination kind of park thing that you can go to.
And it's a fountain, yeah.
Yeah, it is a fountain. There's also like an alligator park or something.
Yes.
I wanted to go, but nobody else wanted to go.
Well, you can see alligators anywhere down there. You don't have to go to a park.
Yeah, but
you know,
I wanted to go check it out. That was also when I was like in my peak, snake obsession era.
You're still in a snake obsession era.
Not as much as I was. And I really wanted to go, and like nobody else was interested.
Well, it looks like I'm taking all your Christmas presents back.
Are they all snake stuff?
They're all snakes. I got you a bunch of snakes.
Yay! Thanks, responsibility.
Yeah, I know. Chewy would love that.
Yeah, they would eat Chewy.
Yeah.
Chewy's a 7-pound Yorkshire Shih Tzu Terrier.
With one eye.
Yeah, he has one eye. We'll post a picture of him on our Instagram.
He does deserve some temporary locals love.
Yeah.
If he was our mascot, we'd be viral already.
Yeah, so that says a lot about us for choosing not to use him to boost our account.
He's so cute. But instead, people just look at my stupid, ugly face, and that's why we're not viral.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is getting off the rails. We need to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for listening. That's it for this week. Plugging into our social medias, kind of leading into that. We have our Instagram, Temporary Locals Podcast. We post kind of like episode descriptions and pictures that kind of go along with our episodes on there. So go check us out there. Jared is on Instagram at Rover_Stover and YouTube at Rover Stover. And you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at Mego Goes Global. And with that, we'd really appreciate it once again if you made it this far, and if you're still listening, if you would share the episode, like, comment, leave a review. Let us know if you've been to St. Augustine or you plan on going there, or if you are going to go there specifically during the months of November through January to check out the Nights of Lights because you heard it from us. We would love to hear that. And with that,
yeah, and also happy holidays, everybody, and we hope everybody gets to spend a lot of time with their family and friends, and we will see you next year. We also have some recap stuff coming up here for the new year. And next year, we have a lot of exciting things planned for the podcast. We have more travels coming and a lot more episodes and more guests lined up. So make sure you stay with us next year. And we're going to keep doing this as long as we can.
Yeah.
So with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, happy holidays. Thanks for listening to our Christmas episode. All right, with that, take us out.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Megan. Thanks for exploring with us.
Remember, be a local anywhere you go.
Bye.
Bye.